Hello everyone. I just bought a thing. Did I need it? Probably not, but when you see a good deal, you just can't pass it up. I'm into this thing. Well, we'll put that at the end to make you guys watch the whole video. The price. So this is an AGT Industrial QH 12R. We're looking at a 12.5 horse, I believe it is, Ratto engine, which is supposed to be a Honda clone, 420. It says it's a 15, but that, what I'm reading online and what that says is things don't add up. But it does have a recoil start back here. This one is nice enough to have a hinge, but there's a lot of buts on this machine. These pins are either loose, the hinges are either loose, or the pins need realigned or something, because I can't get it to close right at the minute. Another issue, muffler, yeah, screws just came out. We're gonna have to go over this entire thing and tighten every nut and bolt down. First thing I want to do is get this darn seat cover off, because they say that will rot this plastic out. We're probably gonna replace this seat anyway, but definitely want to get rid of the plastic. Now I might have to take it apart to get the rest of it off, but at least it can breathe. I'm thinking about putting that big Ditch Witch seat on there, but for now I think we're gonna go ahead and take these 4 screws out. This seat folds forward, and take this seat off, and I'm sure it's 4 screws holding the base on. We'll get this plastic off just to save it. They do come with a little toolbox, but they're not waterproof. Everything in here got soaked, including the manual, well, for the engine. So yeah, that's great. We got our little grease nipple and a grease gun, and what do we have? A 12 millimeter, 16 millimeter, and a 14, along with what I believe is an extra air filter. Now we know it's super clean because it got super wet. A little mount for it, and we got a 19 and 17 wrench, and this here's for running the sockets, of course. But this weird grease fitting is for these nipples here. They press in so you can grease them. They're low profile, but I do have some metric ones, and we are going to replace them with standards. I don't think I'm going to be doing anything that's going to hook a normal nipple. It does have a few normal nipples, so you're going to need both styles of grease gun anyway to properly maintain this thing. We're going to go through all the fluids are getting changed. Hydraulic fluid, oil that people say is vegetable. It doesn't smell quite right, so yeah, I don't think it's normal oil. Here's the specs on this machine. I got this from Almond Auctions, and it was just one of those whim of the moment, oh, it's only going for that much? Sure, why not? Let's bid on it, see if we can get one. This wasn't my first choice of machine, but it's the one that I won on. I'm just going to go ahead and take the included screwdriver and start taking these screws out. We'll start at the top and work our way down. Speaking of the top, this is not a ROPS. Some people are saying, oh, it'll protect you in a rollover. No. Oh, look, there's even plastic up in the screw. I hope this goes back together after taking it apart. A proper ROPS is going to be a lot more secure than this. I shouldn't be able to bend it. You shouldn't see flex in a ROPS. Just like on my Yamar, this is not really a ROPS, even though it is built a lot sturdier. It should be able to support the weight of the tractor, and that definitely ain't going to do it. Well, we got those 4 screws out, and this should just, yeah. Ooh, look at all the rust and the wood rot starting. Yeah, you definitely want to take that apart if you plan on using this seat. That's not good. So I'm going to leave that out in the sun to cook for a little bit. Now if you grab hold of that lever and flip it up, you can slide this all the way back and have access to your front bolts. I'm going to go ahead and recommend doing the rears first. Slide it forward and get these 2 out, and then slide it back. If it's forward, you can't flip it like this, and it'd make getting these out a little bit more difficult. Yeah, look at all the water coming out of there. They did use Loctite on the nuts, so I give them that, but yeah, we're going to want to take these screws here, here, and here out and do the same thing. Okay, I needed a big screwdriver and a pair of channel locks to get those 4 screws off. They were very, very tight on there. Also kind of appropriate, about the same color as the channel locks. I'm just not sold on this color though. I'm not loving it. There was an orangish one over there, and it looked more like my bad boy, and I really was trying to get that one. But now this seat we can get to at least. And take those 4 bolts. Look at that, it's starting to rust around there already. That's great. Okay, we got all 4 out. Oh yeah, she's kind of suctioned in there. Ain't that good looking. No, I don't know. I think they do more harm than good putting plastic on this thing. That one's baking okay. It's slimy. Okay, now that we have the seat off, I want to look at this tracking control because it's doing something I don't like. Also, in shipping, I guess, this got nicked. So I'm going to need to get some rubber cement or something on there to protect it. Darn it. Just can't get a win out the door, huh? Well, I wanted to show you what it was doing, but I went to close this, and this guy is missing a bolt. On top of that, it was bent so far over that the door would not close, so I had to pound it over this way a little bit. But yeah, we should be able to just flip that and that and have this thing closed up, maybe. Yeah, fit and finish. If you're looking for fit and finish, and oh yeah, I wonder where those go. They're just sitting there in the cup holder. We got a nick here, we're missing a screw there, you know. Is it perfect? No, but I think it'll do the job, hopefully. My uncle has one, and they've been digging graves with it. They got it for church, and they've got a graveyard out there, and he says it does a really good job because they were digging by hand up until they got this thing like last year. And digging a grave does not sound very fun by hand. That's a long way, you know, it's a big hole. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this on, and I will show you what it's doing. Give it some choke. Choke off. And we can adjust our throttle here, push the button. Also have our work light, which does line up. And what it's doing is if you push forward, it's gonna that. Until you get rolling, these two are not in sync. When you push it forward, one is taking off about there, and then the other one's taking off about there a lot sooner. So if we can sync those up, it moves around pretty good. So I need to adjust these two, and I believe it has something to do with these jam nuts. So we're going to go ahead and try and pull these back. I think if, yeah, this one's so obviously these are not in sync, and we need to work on getting them lined up. Now I'm going to just take this panel off because I want to look underneath here and make sure everything's tightened down as it is. So let's go over how to do that real quick. Got a Phillips head screw on both sides here. Okay, now that that screw's out, this thing will just slide right off. Then we've got a spacer here, and that will come off. See how it's cut there, and you got a little thing here to keep the knob from turning on you. It's also where your screw goes into. Then you got these 4 bolts, or 3 in that one's case, and they are 5/16, or I'll put here whatever the metric size of that is. They seem to be self-tappers, so nothing super spectacular going on here. Okay, with all of those off, we should just be able to slide this on up and off. Down in here we have our controls. So now we have both of those off. You're going to need a 13, and you have a bolt here, a bolt here, a bolt here, and a bolt here. And that should allow this front panel to just come off. Okay, got that last one out of there, and this thing, yeah, it'll just lift straight off. So on this guy, you really gotta pick it up tilt it back. You're gonna have to move these back because they'll be in your way. Make sure your boom's down all the way, just so you're not hitting it and slowly sending it down every time you hit it. Over here I kept hooking that guy right there on that, so I really had to shimmy it around. It'd be a lot easier if this cab cover wasn't on, but she's off. It's gonna be fun getting it back. Now we're gonna have a look at all of our controls and make sure everything's good and tight. Well, I've been looking around at this thing and I don't know if I'm going to try tightening anything. It all looks decent. I don't see any leaks. We've run it on the trailer and off the trailer, and I messed around just a little bit here with it. I see no major leaks. Nothing screams to be, you know, pinching down in here. It's all tight, yes, but I don't see any like hoses. I don't care much for this hose going over that one, but I don't think it'll be the end of the world. Yeah, I think we'll be okay. Now I do want to adjust these track controls. Something else people have had issues with, these nuts being loose on these controls, but everything seems tight. You know, nothing seems super loose, and honestly the swing arm and running the bucket, it all feels fairly smooth. It's just the track controls we're having issues with. So in order to adjust this, we're going to take this handle off, and that is a, I don't know, 13 maybe? Nope. I'd say this is supposed to be a 16. They gave us a 17, but it worked. So back that off. We'll take this out. Then we can come in here and loosen this set screw nut, and we can move this in and out, and then we just make that tight up against there once we get it to where we want it. So we're going to back it off a couple turns and see how that works for us. Well, that feels wrong already. This here is way further back than this one, but let's try it and see what we get. All the way in, they look a lot more level. No, they're definitely still off. Problem is, this one is in as far as it'll go. Maybe I need to back this one up a little bit. If we start to engage there, we start to engage there. And that's pretty straight on. Boy, you don't have to choke it. You can tell this didn't pass EPA, even though it says it did. Every new machine I own, you got to turn the choke on. This one just fires right up. Anyway. Oh yeah, that seems to be a lot better. To tighten those up, but that's a lot closer to what we need. She's not very fast, but at least she's even. Cool, we're going to take that win. Okay, now that we have those adjusted, fairly easy. Loosen the nut and take this handle off, and you can turn it in and out as far as you need. Tighten the nut up, throw this back on, tighten that nut up, and now we have them tracking properly, so it's not all the whole way through. Now we can come down to this base plate here, Now we can come down to this base plate where our hydraulic tank lives, and we can take the one bolt that's still holding it on off. Well, I gotta find 2 more of those bolts, I guess. Awesome. And we can take this plate out of here. Well, maybe it's not a one-handed job. Now down here we can see our hydraulic tank. We also have a temperature gauge and a fill gauge. As it heats up, you can check temperature and see where we're at. I think people were saying around, 80, 180. Somewhere around there is where it should be at when it's filled. But we are going to drain this out in the not too distant future. I might run this a little bit just to cycle it, but I'm definitely going to change the motor oil out quick. But this here we may just leave alone for the time being. Also, I don't have any fresh fluid. 46 is what this takes. And down there is something else we need to look at that we're probably going to mod in the future. Also, the battery lives on this side. That's a decent sized battery. It's bigger than a normal garden style. Oh, it even takes a normal post style top. That's good to know. Tall, narrow form factor. But we want to keep an eye on this swing motor because they are known for the screws that hold them in down there to back out and come loose. And that's not good because it will break it. They also make a hydraulic dampener that goes in line with these, and that makes it so that when this thing swings out, it doesn't bam stop and jerk this thing and break it off. So we're definitely going to be installing one of those in the future. That's not too hard a job from what I've seen online. You just need some hoses and a few things, and you can about have that piece sitting up in here, have the hoses routed around and done up to back here. So not too difficult. There's a good video on doing that already. I'll see if I can link that below if I can find it again. There's a bunch of videos on these things. I gotta see if I got anything that will fit onto those because I want to make sure they're tight. I don't know if I have any that go that big. Well, it's a good thing I looked at it. I did find, well, it's the wrong one. It's a 5/16, but whatever the metric is for a 5/16 is what these are. And the one on that back corner was a little loose. I was able to turn it in some more. The rest of these seem okay, so we're good to go. I might take those out and put Loctite on them. Taking this battery out would make that a lot easier, but I think we're okay for the minute. We're going to take a second to come to the back. Here are our drive motors. They make a bar that goes between these to help protect them and stiffen this up, and I think we're going to buy that as well. I'm going to assume that these are good and tight. I don't have a good way to check them at the minute. And here is how these hoses work. They come up, around, and into there where there's like a block in the middle. And this is on a roller. No, you won't unscrew these. I've seen people online like, oh, only do so many rotations, you're going to unscrew it and the top's going to flop off. And they're like, that's not how these work. They don't have a number of times you can turn them around. So in reality, this didn't take too long to do any of this. It's now like 12 o'clock and 12:53. So, you know, within an hour, and that's including me messing around, getting tools and, you know, filming. So we were able to do all this under an hour, we could say, tear this all apart. Not too bad. Well, it helped if some of the screws were in place, you know, but that's nitpicky things. Honestly, this thing doesn't take too long to tear apart and work on. So that's a big plus too. If you're out in the field somewhere and it breaks down, you might be able to do something to it. Well, I'm going to go ahead and throw this all back together, check on our seat. I think it's getting drier. There's still some moisture there, but it's getting drier. So we're going to go ahead and open the door up. And we're definitely going to have to look into these hinges. I will say, if you're looking at getting one of these, make sure it has a door that opens, because my uncle's, you've got to take a bunch of bolts out and pop this whole panel off, and it's like, what a pain in the butt to mess around with. This one here, you can get right at your engine, and make sure your oil drain is in a decent spot, because his is way up in there where you've got to, you're basically going to make a mess. This one here, the oil will drain directly down, so that's a big plus too. And carburetor's right there. If you need to service it, you can pop that off. And you need to adjust the valves, they're right here. Like, honestly, this air cleaner Like everything is really easy to work on motor side. Even the hydraulic pump doesn't look hard to get at. So serviceability, this thing's not a super hard thing to fix, which is a big plus. You know, it's cheap, easy to assemble. That means it's easy to repair for the most part. And I don't know how hard parts are going to be to find when something does go wrong, but a lot of this is cookie cutter parts. Like this engine, we could probably go take a Predator from Harbor Freight and slap it on here if we needed one. All right, I'm having a heck of a time getting this thing back on there. So I'm just going to take this sunshade off for the minute so I can throw it in the shed. I was going to put it over there, but I got to move stuff around and I'm running out of time to work on it. So yeah, we're just going to take, those are 14s in the back and these are 12s up front. Well, it's a good thing I did that. It just let a mess of water out. Oh boy, yeah, there was a ton of water stuck up in this pipe. I guess they got a leak up there. Whoop. So yeah, you might want to take this thing off regardless and make sure it's not got a bunch of water stuck in it. Oh boy. Let's see if one person can pick this up or if it's going to crush me. Find out here in a sec. It's not too bad. Okay, now I should be able to get that front panel back on. That actually dropped on quite easy with that cab out of the way. Well, as I'm putting this back together, I found out we're missing a tiny nut that holds this boot on, so that's great. Okay, so all we have left is nuts and bolts for the seat and the sun canopy. Everything else has been reinstalled. Still gotta get a bolt for that, self-tapper, and we should be good to go on this. Well, next thing I want to do is an oil change and go through and grease everything. And I kind of want to get the engine a little warmed up before we give it an oil change. So we're going to drive this thing back under the shade tree, grease up the front end, and yeah, then we'll give it an oil change. So now I want to grease everything up. I want everything to be the same. I got to make sure that's not going to hit something if it does stick up though, because I really don't want to have to use two different styles of grease fitting to grease this. See, we got normal ones there. I'm just going to call these the weird one there. I'm guessing, nope, normal one in there. Weird one up here, weird one right there, weird one right there, and a weird one right there. And these both have normals, normal. Okay, there's a lot of spots to grease on this thing. So it looks like we got, well, 3 major ones and 1 minor one. So I've got this kind of master kit I got off the internet. I'll see if I can leave a link below. And hopefully this is the right thread it's supposed to be. They're a number 9. Are these number 9s? Uh-oh, we're off to a bad start. These are not number 9s. Uh-oh. Well, I've been thinking this over, and instead of making these to where they will stick out, maybe, just maybe, we can make it so I can have both in one go on this gun. So we're going to take this tip off, and we're going to take the back of one of these grease fittings off. Oops, and we'll lose it in the yard. And we'll get a straight one, and we'll just thread it in the back of this grease fitting. And now we have something like that this hopefully will just click onto. Look at that, it just clips on there. Now we can send grease through and we don't have to change anything out. So as long as we keep this tool with our grease gun, we should be good to go with everything on this unit. I have a feeling we're going to be getting an electric grease gun sooner than later. Well, that was a full tube of grease, and it took every bit of it, so I probably need a little bit more, to be honest. So I'll get a second tube at some point, but we definitely have some better quality grease. That was some Lucas stuff I put in there, so higher quality grease on this, and I feel a little bit better about that. Now we'll move it forward a little bit because we're losing our shade quick, and I'll get the oil pan. We'll drain the oil, put some fresh oil in it, and this thing should be ready to go, other than the hydraulic fluid, which I think I'm going to change at a later date because I don't have any at the minute for this. Ready for an oil change. So what you want to do to change the oil, you want to swing this to the side, open your door, and down in here you'll see that we have a nice little hole, and that will let the oil drain directly into a tray. So we want to take our number 12 and loosen up our drain plug. And we can take that out. Engine oil might be a little hot because we have been running it, which is good. We're going to keep an eye on this as it comes out, see what it looks like. There she goes. Yeah, they said vegetable oil, you know, it does look a lot like vegetable oil. They aren't wrong. It's very, very runny, so you don't want to run this very long. Jeez, yeah, that's not very good oil for, no. Definitely recommend changing this. Oh, there's our washer. Okay. That just barely works. Now I could be wrong, but I do not see an oil filter we need to change on this. So, oh, I forgot to mention, you want to take this cap out to help it drain a little bit quicker. But cap's right there. Your dipstick apparently is on the other side of the motor, which makes zero sense why they would put it up there. I guess it's just the way these things come from the factory. But we're going to get a funnel down in there, and that's going to be the fun bit, because I don't know if I have a funnel that will work with that at the minute without making a big mess. And we'll get this thing filled up with oil. Well, I don't have the right funnel for doing this, so I've got a rubber piece of fuel line and a little funnel, and we're just going to ship it in like that. Okay, so it took 1.1 quarts. I went with some VR1 high performance racing oil. Yeah, well, especially designed for push rod and flat tappet engines. So I don't know, it says brings more horsepower, friction resistor. Yeah, it's got all the fancy stuff going on. But yeah, so we put some 1030 in it because that's what everything recommends. Gotta be better than what came out of it, that's for sure. So we're going to run this for you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours, and then we're going to give it another oil change just to flush it out, because I don't trust anything that they did to this motor. Speaking of things I'm not sure if they did, if you'll notice in the toolbox we had a air breather sitting in there, and I don't know if oh, we do have an air breather. Okay, all right, it looks clean enough. I think we'll just go with that. That looks pretty good. I don't trust them. Well, I trust them. It looks okay. I think that's fine. It at least was inside of the cover. The throttle only goes that far up. Yeah, we're not getting full throttle out of this, but maybe that's a good thing. As jerky as it is, I don't know. We're going to flip this thing around, try running it with all the weight at the back and see how it does. I think this is the way you really should be running it. You just got to watch your motors. They do make a brace that goes across here, and that'll help protect those, and we are going to get that in the future along with a hydraulic thumb. And we're going to put a cooling fan. I wanted to make sure I had this here before I went ordering anything, but we're going to throw an electric fan to help cool this thing out, because it does get pretty warm. I noticed the heat rising while I was sitting on this platform. We'll put a fan maybe on that side to help blow some air through or pull it out. I'm not totally sure yet. But I'm gonna have to look around on the internet and see what other people are doing. Oh, looks like there were, oh, that's what these were. That's what those do. They hold the seat down. Okay, you can tell they've been out of there for a minute. Along with these other bolts that are missing, they've been out of there for a minute too. Well, I'm getting a little tired. I think we're going to call this a video. We'll drive around a little bit. And oh boy, those hinges are just not, they're just not it. I mean, I'm glad it opens, but you really got to watch it when you go to close the thing. Nope, can't do it one-handed. Okay, we're going to try turning this around, having our blade at the back. And I do believe that that should help with our counterweight issue. Turn that. Oh, that tire's right. Let's see, I need to move forward a little bit. Oh yeah, the controls are backwards because I'm backwards. That's right. So weird. All right, we got to get some screws in that. She's loose. We will eventually throw the cab back on it. I'd like to make a proper, you see we'd be hitting those branches. I'd like to make a proper roll cage for this, you know, out of some tube steel, and I got to make it short enough it'll fit in my shop, because right now it won't fit in there, and that's a problem. So yeah, this thing towards the back is the way to go. All the counterweight and everything's on the back here. That makes a huge difference with running that. We are, however, going to figure out some sort of weight. There's room down there. We're going to put some weights in there. I don't know what yet. I don't know how. I've seen people hanging dumbbells off. We might get some tractor weights. Maybe I could... That's pretty substantial. I could just get a couple big tractor weights and hang them off the back, bolt them through. I don't know. We could have a big flat one in there and a couple of large ones. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I think I tried to cover everything we did in this video. It might be a little messy here and there. I've never messed with one. I've never had one. I don't know much about it. Oh, I believe this is for the swing control, but these are the grease points for that. I don't know if there are grease points on these. I'm sure there are, and I have not missed them. I did not get a manual with this, and that is very unhelpful. I do believe I can get one online though. And then this is how you tension your track. You loosen one, and then you can move this in and out, and then you tighten that big nut up. It seems like everything's fair. I don't think it's going to come off real easy, and the track looks fairly decent. Try and bring this mower forward a little bit, mostly because we need to see about getting this up and running. We know it will run, but I think we're going to curl this in and see if we can wrap it around that bucket. Well, she was pretty sunk in there, so we're going to take that as a win. I figure it'll pick the front end of that up. If we get close to it, we might see if we can pick it up and drag it a little bit. Well, let's see what happens. Ooh, so exciting. It picked up and moved the mower a few feet. We're gonna have to get out of town here where I can run this some and do some actual digging with it. But yeah, that's mainly what I bought this for. Moving mowers around here was kind of my bigger idea. But there are other plans in the future, but we will see if those come to fruition or not. Either way, this is a neat little tool. Definitely want to do some maintenance to it if you pick one up. Keep an eye on it. Make sure it don't flip over on you. That's another big thing. I'm gonna, like I said, build a roll cage for it at some point. At least put the sun cap back on it. Okay, so I think we're going to call it a video, and I went ahead around back and tightened up this. Just need a couple self tappers put in it and threw the seat back on. I was going to put that ditch witch seat on, but looking at it, that thing just looks like a pain in the butt to get off there. So we threw this back together. Highly recommend tearing it all apart though, because it will rot out. That plastic goes underneath, and yeah, she needs to sit out in the sun for a few hours. And you probably want to loosen the bolts on that guy so the water can drain out, because it was just full of it. Other than that, seems like a pretty good unit. Hopefully we'll get it out and going here soon. I still need to change the hydraulic fluid. I'm waiting until I get one of those dampener valves, and then I'm going to drain all of it and put that in line, and then we'll purge everything out, and hopefully that'll solve all our issues. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, it comes with a little mat. I don't know if I'm going to leave that on there or not. It just looks like something else to hold moisture, you know. But we're going to get this thing in here, and oh yeah, you guys want to know how much it cost, right? I got this from Allman Auctions. My bid was $2,900. We had a premium of $290 and a total of $3,190 out the door. So honestly, I don't think that was that bad for this unit. I've heard people paying $5,000 to $10,000 for, well, let's say 5 to 8 for this model specifically. But I heard that number. I'm like, ooh, I'm probably not going to have a chance in the running on this. But I bid on a bunch of them, and all of them brought around like 5-ish by the time you get buyer's premium on there. And I think this was the cheapest one at the sale, and you know, rightfully so. It had a few little issues. I can't speak for the other ones though. I haven't gone through them. I'm sure they probably had little nicks and issues on them. I know one of them I was bidding on, there was a bigger version of this that was orange, I do believe. Well, maybe it wasn't this. No, it was a different style, but it had scuffs on it, so I was hoping, oh, maybe no one will want it, you know. It was a little banged up in shipping. But no, they also sold the shipping containers that they brought these over in, and they brought around $6,000 a piece. So yeah, definitely I think the auction did pretty good on them, and I got a pretty good deal out of it. So all right, there you have it. More to come. Yeah, they didn't think I'd see that, trying to hide it on top. I had a little bit of a scuffle. Oh well. Okay, now to answer the question everyone's been dying to know. How well does the light work? Well, let's find out. Hopefully decent, because I can't find the switch. Not at all. It failed me. Oh, I shut the master switch off. Okay, big reveal. It will definitely light up in front of you. Not the brightest light in the world, but you can kind of see what you're doing there. We'll go back to the operator's platform here. A little indicator there to tell you it's on. And that's kind of what you're seeing. I mean, better than nothing.